All right, brokers, we have Ramon Walker here. Ramon is broker owner, Mount Diablo in Northern California. He's also he's been a top 20 originator in the country on Scotsman Guide here for several years, and we're here today to talk about how he's dealing with this market, how he's handling customer communications, and how he's setting expectations with customers based upon the crazy ups and downs we're seeing with interest rates. Ramon, thank you for taking the time.
Definitely. Thanks for having me. I always enjoy seeing my man Casa.
So how has the last week been for you? I mean, I would say, let's say last 2 weeks. I know obviously there's a shelter in place in Northern California, but taking a step back and kind of looking at things from a business perspective, how are you managing? How are you communicating with your team members and dealing with rate fluctuations and all that good stuff?
Yeah. So we're running a skeleton crew in the office. Our inside office is not that big. Anyway, there's about 15 people, but we have the essential people in to make sure we can still maintain a service level for our existing clients and the new clients coming in. But yeah, we have completely sort of changed or really modified in this situation over the last couple of weeks the way we're communicating with borrowers, the strategies we're using to get leads in the door or whatnot. So yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks, kind of turbulent, but I don't always like it smooth. I like it to be wavy sometimes, so it's all right. We're handling it.
Now you have kind of a hybrid model. I mean, you do some consumer direct, and obviously you have some outside business coming in as well. Where do you find yourself focusing right now? We were kind of talking offline about contracts falling out and the purchase market being a little unsteady.
Yeah, luckily for us, we had the pieces in place to really perform on our consumer direct side. That's where the business is now. I have a call center in the Philippines, so there's 13 people out there calling for us Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, and still trying to get out in front of these consumers and get them deals. And that's where the majority of our deals are coming from. We also part of the time that Philippine team is calling for my outside loan officers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've started to buy, because this is one sort of like transition I rolled out. I think it was in November last year. We started piloting this where we're buying data from Black Knight, just non-solicited data, and throwing that into our dialer and letting the outside loan officers, the remote office loan officers, take some of those transfers. So as you can imagine, these last couple of weeks, that's been a lot more popular. People are like, "Hey, sign me up. I didn't want to sign up before. I want to sign up
now." And what are you seeing from a consumer perspective? I mean, obviously, I think everybody went through the wave where consumers were, hey, I saw rates are dropping or rates are 0%. I mean, how has the dialogue been with most of these customers?
Yeah, we're dealing. It's a problem. Like these borrowers, they're ping ponging all over the place, right? They see an ad. I'll have them at a 3.375, and they'll see an ad on Facebook for 2.99 on a 30-year fix. But we all know that was 3 weeks ago, right? So a lot of them are hesitant. It's become a process of really explaining the dynamics of the market, letting them know that just because they see 0% coming from the feds, that doesn't mean it's mortgage rates. But you have to go further than that. We're talking a lot about supply and demand, the amount of mortgages that are eligible for refinance in the U.S. right now, whether you want to call it 7 trillion, 8 trillion. Our capability as an industry, you're talking wholesale or retail, to put loans through, I mean, the capacity might be around 2 trillion, right? So now we have a supply and demand issue, and I'm trying to explain to these clients that they're not going to lenders aren't going to drive rates down more when their pipeline is full and they don't have the capacity to take on more anyway. So don't try to wait for the absolute lowest. The person that waits for the absolute lowest usually ends up on the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
Take the deal. You're saving $200. You're saving $150. If it works, if things loosen up and it gets better a year down the road, then we can take another look at it. But take advantage of the opportunity that's in front of you now. That's what we're preaching. We're just hitting that. We're hitting that so hard.
I think it's a good point. I mean, honestly, I think just taking a step back right now, and it's interesting to see non-QM completely disappear. Right now, I had a conversation a little while ago. I was talking about government lending and trying to put this in perspective for some people that I was talking to. And the funny thing is this, I get these calls, and it's a shame, because I wish we just had a better industry when it came to transparency and competition. But I have mortgage brokers calling me, and they'll say, "Hey, Amp, we're getting screwed. The lenders they're cutting back their government credit box for brokers, but they're still doing it for retail." And I'm like, no, they're not. Believe me, they're not. And they'll say, no, that's what they're doing. I'm like, no, that's just not the way it works, unfortunately, guys. I'm like, the truth of the matter is, the noise that you're hearing from some retail guy is just a recruiter. He's using this as a recruiting mechanism, saying, hey, brokers are getting screwed. You guys are the only ones dealing with it. It's happening everywhere. I talked to a number one producer retail in Florida today, talked to the number one regional for a retail lender today, and they're coming to me like, man, I don't know what to do. What's going to happen? The world's coming to an end. And I'm having the same conversation with them that I have with brokers. I'm like, guys, it's equal. The whole market is shrinking. Government lending, most likely, I mean, in 30 days, I would not be surprised if this whole situation with coronavirus continues, that there could be no government lending at all. And not saying it's going to go away forever, but for the time being, that could happen. And I think keeping a level head is the biggest thing. And as obviously you see it, when it comes to your team, how do you keep everybody, with a level head and not getting distracted by what people are saying?
Yeah, we really concentrate on the work, and luckily, I really pound the pavement myself. So that's sort of the culture in our office. They see my energy and see me. I'm never really down. You got to remember, I got into the business, right? I got into the business at this exact moment, but in 2009, 10, or whatnot. So adversity breeds opportunity, is what I explain to them, right? So this is our chance to not go feel bad for ourselves, or say, oh, the situation is too difficult to pursue or continue to advance. I'm all about, in these situations, finding a way to be creative to still capture market share, so everyone gets it. I mean, we lost, and we have issues. We lost 4 jumbo loans over the last weeks, right? I was like, what? Excuse me. All I see on the front of the email is, I'm so sorry, Ramon, but oh God.
It's true though. I mean, listen, I genuinely feel bad. Like, people come to me, and I got in the emails where a broker reach out to me like, hey, Anthony, this non-QM lender, they're not closing my loan. It's supposed to close on mine. They're screwing me. And I've been there. Like, listen, I'm a loan originator. I've been originating loans since I was freaking 18 years old, even though I haven't done the last 2 years. Like, I get it. But at the same time, if you just take one step backwards and you say, okay, like 3.3 million people lost their job this last week. Yeah. Most likely they're talking about 10 to 30% unemployment within a very short period of time. Did that guy not get the house, or do we just do him a favor? Because, like, if he gets the house, closes, loses his job next month, or he's self-employed and his income dramatically goes down because he can't open his restaurant or can't open his business, and then can't make the payments, and then he has a foreclosure, that's not what he wants. He's trying to buy a house for his family. Like sometimes I just think it's like, maybe we're doing some people a favor right now, because, like, yes, the American dream's home ownership, but right now the American dream is actually employment and, living a good life. I mean, we can't even go to a restaurant right now. Right. So, like, maybe it's okay for certain people not to get loans right now. And, and again, we can focus on refinances. We can focus on the loans that we can do. There's still a lot of business out there. I mean, how's your month coming?
Yeah, no, we have a ton of loans in the pipeline, a ton of locks. I've actually, through this last 3 weeks, it was already a plan for me to expand and hire, and I've really been focusing on operations, right? So for me, I've always been like a salesperson. I've kind of let operations work on its own, hire experienced people with a high level of autonomy. But now what we're trying to do is put more of a system in place, so we can actually, the way I see it, I always talk about opening up additional lanes on the freeway. If we were a 3-lane freeway, we're trying to be a 5-lane freeway with a carpool now. So we've hired we've hired three new processors over. Two of them started last week. One of them started the week before. Okay. Within this month, I hired three recent college grads. They're on my setup team. So we have a lot of new people in here learning the business. So we're taking this opportunity while we're still plentiful with deals, and we're taking this opportunity to put new people in and get ready for the future. And that's one point I was going to make. When I got into the business during the financial crisis, and it's just a dynamic, or I guess a trait that I have personally, I'm always forget about today. Today is going to happen, and I can't do much about it. I'm going to give my best today, but I'm always planning for the future. And in this case, I think it's extremely important that we not get too bogged down in what's happening like right now at this moment, and think about where are we going to be in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. Right. So take a moment, that's what I tell everyone to do. Just take a moment. I know a lot's going on, and it's kind of hard to think about other things outside of what's in front of you, but take a little bit of time every day to focus on playing, or have a vision of where you see yourself in the business, or think about a new avenue to be able to bring business in, right? Because things may be different. I mean, this is what adversity is. And we as entrepreneurs, we have if we're good, we have the capability of changing course sometime in these situations. So
you're right. You nailed it.
Full steam ahead at Mount Diablo Lending, right? Until this thing will have to completely collapse in order for us to stop. And that's not going to happen.
Yeah, honestly, that's a really great point in perspective, and I think that's interesting because it's timely as well. When I think about 30 to 60 days ago, I know Skylar Welch is watching, and I've had these conversations with her. It's like, you're too busy. You're always so busy. You got deals coming in. You got clients calling. Everybody's been so busy. They're too busy to train. They're too busy to develop talent. They're too busy to hire. They're too busy to do social media. They're too busy to do all these things. And I look at it right now, it's like huge opportunity. It's like somebody just hit the pause button on our business to a degree. Not saying that we're slow or anything, but like realistically, we're home. There's an opportunity right now to focus on the areas of our business that we haven't had time to invest in. And in your case, you're making a big investment. You're saying, hey, we're going to invest in people, and we're going to develop people. I know you're also investing in technology and doing some things there as well. That's great. But like those are long, those are moves that are focused on 6 months from now, 12 months from now on the other side of this. And I think that's a really good mindset of like, let's capitalize on this pause, take a breath, and train the person we couldn't train if we were too busy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what we do, we're going to have adversity, and we're going to prevail. I mean, you look through history at all the different times that Americans have had some kind of issue or obstacles, and look at the other side of that. This is going to be no different. So really, it is an opportunity. There's an opportunity in front of you to grow your business, increase the market share, try new things. Because, like you said, because it's kind of weird. We are super busy, but then you feel this pause as well, because your time is not being allocated to your social activities, or you're not golfing, or you're not doing this or that.
Yeah.
I just want to take that time, spend it with the family, the kids, and take the rest of it and figure out what you're going to do with your business. So that's what I do all the time. But
and I think that's a great perspective. And one of the other things I think would be great is obviously I think you and I are pretty tight, and if people don't know that, we've developed a pretty good friendship here over the last year and a half. And going back to when the first time we really started meeting, I give everybody a little perspective. When I first started Brawl, I had reached out to some top brokers in the country, and I was like, hey, let me come visit you. And then just understand, these people didn't know me at that point. They might have heard about me from afar, but we didn't have personal relationships. So first time I reached out to Ramon, I was like, hey, I'm going to be in Northern California. Can I come visit you? So at the time, Ramon was using Quicken and a couple other lenders with some pretty, regular frequency. And I went to his office, and we sit down, we have some, conversation, and we both know what's coming. And he's like, I know this motherfucker. Sorry. I know this dude is sorry, guys. I apologize. I know this dude's going to bring up Quicken. Like he knew it was coming. Like we both had this, like, weird, stare off happened. I was like, all right, well, are you using Quicken? He's like, yeah, well, I'm trying not to, blah, blah, blah. and at that point, like, I knew you weren't cutting them off at then, but, over the time of learning their practices and all that stuff, we kind of got moved on from that since then. But, one of the things that happened, that you dealt with is, last year, you went through this situation with the FTC. And, we talked about it. It's interesting, when you and I talked about it way before anybody else found out about it.
Yeah.
And you and I talked about, kind of what happened. And listen, here's what I tell people. Everybody makes mistakes. And when I say that, like, I make mistakes all the time. I just cursed. And that's one of the things I tried giving up. Like I make mistakes a lot. They're big, they're small. And it just, people get DUIs, things happen. And in your case, you had a situation where a customer posted something, you were upset with them, you responded, and it came back to bite you in the butt, and you paid a big penalty for it. Like, you stroked a big check. But the check wasn't the worst part of it. Like, to me, you stroked a big check, you dealt with your situation, but you had to deal with some really bad PR. Let's talk about that, because, I talked to a lot of brokers about it that have brought it up to me. And I said, hey, listen, like, I know Ramon, I have that guy's back in a perpetuity. I know he made a mistake. He's very sorry for what he did. He's paid his price and then tenfold. Talk about going through that experience, because when we talk about adversity, that I know that was a tough couple of weeks for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the way that it was framed, because I didn't see it the same way as a lot of people did see it when articles are written or whatnot. Things are the certain perspectives are brought up, but the other perspectives aren't necessarily always brought up. So yeah, with that situation. So what I'll say, that was what they were looking at was back from 2015. First of all, there was nothing after 2015. I sort of stopped responding to reviews. But it's a double-edged sword in a sense, because I was so passionate about the business. I think that's why I had a lot of success early on, right? So you think about 2015, I was only a couple of years into the business at that point, right? So it was like my little baby.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, I remember being where you were when I first started my business, and it's like it's not like people look at it. It's like your business is like your reputation. Imagine imagine if, when you're an entrepreneur and you love your business and you're in that building and you care about so much. Right. Imagine somebody going on social media or going on some public thing and saying, hey, Anthony is the biggest POS in the world. He's a horrible human being. Blah 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 blah. It's personal. It's very personal. And I've been there. And obviously you were there at that point, and you reacted the way most people would react if they had a personal attack.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then part of it is it's our own personal path and cycle of development too. Because if I think back then, I was a lot more defensive of a person than if you could, compared to now. So we're all growing up and we're all maturing. And that doesn't just happen. That happens in our business. That happens in our personal lives. That happens in our marriages. So we're on this continued path of improving ourselves. So yeah, as I look back at it, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong in that moment, because anybody that there were 5 reviews, and those 5 people mentioned something about their transaction themselves, right? And then I in turn responded and said something about that what they wrote. But that doesn't it doesn't matter that they said something about their situation. I should have stopped at that point and put something in there that said, hey, give me a call, we can discuss it. Here's the 1-800 number, instead of, elaborating more on their deal and trying to give a perspective as to why we couldn't move forward with that loan. So it's just a discussion that should have been had privately instead of out on the open forum. But you know what? The rules are the rules. We have rules for a reason. And I was, it was a long process. It taught me a lot. I'm a pretty resilient person, so I kind of fought, let my position be known as well. And I think the other side appreciated that too. I think that the FTC could kind of see where I was coming from as well, because it was a big fine, but it could have been a lot. Worse. Don't play it around,
Yeah, when we first started talking, that was a big number. But let's talk about the after part of it, because that's what happened, and like that was like you said, 2015.
Right.
The thing that I found interesting was I had a lot of people. First of all, the media part of it I was really disappointed with, because it wasn't informed, and again, like a lot of things in the media, they're not very informed. But the thing that happens, I had all these people come to me, and really, like, they would send me an article, and they would they would say, oh, you got to distance yourself from this guy, blah blah blah. And
Right.
the thing I find interesting about this whole situation, because inevitably I know at some point I'm going to be in the seat that you were in. I'm going to be in a situation where I'm a human being. People make mistakes, like plain and simple. Like, guys, like, none of us are perfect. At some point in our lives, we're going to deal with some mistake
Right.
or adversity. And if you are a person that are not there for people when they are at their lowest point, or at a bad point, or at a point of adversity, like, what kind of person are you? Like plain and simple. Like, to me, it was amazing to see people think like, hey, like, get away from this guy. Like, I looked at him, I was like, he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, listen, what he did was wrong. Great. He paid a fine for it. It's over and done with. Now it's just, it's more or less, the embarrassment of it happening. I'm like, what kind of friend would any of us be if we abandoned a member of our community? So, I know for you, those couple of weeks were hard, but how have you dealt with, kind of just moving on and getting focused on the business since then?
Right. And keep in mind that, like, this originally happened. I got contacted by the FTC. That was in 2018, at the end of 2018. So I'd been dealing with it for a little while, right? And had a pretty good lawyers and whatnot. So they kind of told me what the outcome would be, or kind of what the process is, because what they do is try to. It's a part of the regulatory practice that they use to put out the articles to make sure that people know, so that way they can kind of temper down on that happening, right? Or informing the community all together. But yeah, it was. I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome in a sense, because I mean, at first it comes out, then you're in shock, right? You're like, oh my God, this is like a tidal wave coming at me, right? And then it was great. It was great speaking, with you. Our conversations made me feel a lot better. And then the community that the community that was behind me, when you started to make some phone calls to people, and or respond the way that you did. Some of the people that may have not had a nice outlook on
Yeah.
what they were reading, but everybody coming back, the people that knew me, it was absolutely wonderful.
It was
And
good. A lot of people were I mean, that was, like, to me, that was one of those moments where I looked at it and said, all right, this is real,
yeah,
because a lot of people rallied behind you, just from a moral support standpoint. Like, hey, Ramon, we got your back,
yeah,
and all that good stuff. And that was an important moment, because it told me a lot about, like, even right now that we're in the middle of a industry financial crisis, and it's impacting everybody, wholesale, retail, the whole thing.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, I know that everybody's got each other's backs, and we're going to get through it. And it's important that people have that perspective, because, things are going to get dicey these next couple of months. Like, it's just plain and simple. It's going to be tough for people. And it's important that we're all, stepping up and making sure we're doing our part to keep our fellow brokers motivated, but also our fellow LOs and all that stuff.
Yeah, we've got to be a community. We've got to look out. We got to look out for one another, lift each other up. We're not in the easy business. There's a lot of regulations, and some of it's for good, and some of it we wish we can change. But nonetheless, the playing field is the way it is. And as we go through and walk our different paths, we're gonna not know things, or we're gonna stumble, and we're gonna need help. But to have this community and this network that sort of like has your back, people you can reach out to. Because I've had people reach out to me since that happened, because they ran into some kind of regulatory issue, or they're comfortable. They're like, well, I know I can talk to Ramon about it, because he's not gonna judge me, or he's kind of been through something similar or whatnot, and I can help. I help guide them, or tell them, you need to talk to this person or talk to that person. And these are great people, right? So it's great that we have a community that doesn't necessarily just pass judgment, but looks deep into each and every one of our members, and we all have each other's back, in a sense. And it's so vast. I mean, across the
Yeah.
whole across the whole country. That's the thing that's incredible to me. It's like, we can almost step in any part of this country and have, a group of supporters or people that are part of this organization and working towards this common goal that we all are.
Yeah, and I would also say from a standpoint of like, even going back to AIME Activate, it's interesting because there's certain organizations, like you see it in a lot of retail organizations, to be honest with you, where it's like, they really put the number one originator, the top originators all on a pedestal. And,
Yeah.
It's so funny because people don't realize this. And I know that like they've been trained mentally because that's how, retail is, that they always think that there's like, that I look at top originators and, lower producing originators differently. It's like, I literally don't, like, until I actually pull data and look at data to see what production is, I have no idea. When I'm in a conversation with somebody, I just look at them as a broker. And I know you do the same thing because I've referred people to you that, like, guy is doing one loan a month and said, hey, Ramon, can you talk to this guy? He's got some questions. And you'll take that call and you'll genuinely answer the questions and have a conversation and befriend that person. And I think that's a mindset that, I'm probably most proud of. Is like the other day, Shelby, actually, a guy called me and asked me about, he was asking about, putting together a good recruiting strategy. He just started his brokerage and he wants to recruit LOs. And he asked me what I thought. And we put him in touch with Shelby, and Shelby took the call, had a 45-minute conversation with him. And those are the things that really cumulatively are what's driving the growth of the channel and the positivity in our community in a big way.
Yeah, I think that's one personality trait that we all kind of share. That's probably why we like each other so much, because it's the willingness to share, right? We are all very, very open, want to share our ideas. I think at its core is like, the business is done. I mean, we've done well in the business. The business has given us a lot. We've given a lot back to the business, and we know what the business capability is, or how it can change people's lives, and we want to share that, right? We want to be able to have that tide rise. And it's everybody has different paths. We've been on the wholesale side of the business and have seen how advantageous that is, how it allows us to grow in a sense, but like gasoline on the fire with the optionality and everything that we have. So it's, I don't know, it's just part, I guess it's part of the core, and same thing for a lot of my loan officers. I think that's why a lot of people do come to Mount Diablo Lending, is because they know they have it's not just the owner of a company, they have a loan originator that owns a company. So I can empathize with you. I can share the ideas with you. We can talk about things and maybe generate something or a new idea together. So that's what it's all about. It's about being intertwined and not just being, somewhere 10, 20, 30,000 feet in the air. It's something about the grass we like. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. When you came out to Philadelphia, and you were here, Matt Oliver and Lisa Lund were here. Was Shelby and Peter here then, or no?
No, they were there at this time.
Who else was there? Skylar, was she here?
It was was it Chris from Garden State Ops?
Oh yeah. That's right. Chris was here.
Chris and Skylar.
Skylar and Tori were here too.
Yeah, we were overlapping.
It's interesting because, like, at the end of the day, like Skylar and Tori are from Maine, and they're like literally northernest part of the country, middle of nowhere. You got Lisa and Matt, who've been in the industry for forever, and they're in Arizona. You're in Northern California. We bring all these people together, and like at our core, like even if we have lifestyle differences and like all the stuff, like that politics, sports, all the things that like differentiate us. At our core, when we're talking, like it's the same stuff. Like we spent all the time talking about loans, about lenders, about referral strategies, customer management, realtor partner management, and like that's what we do. This is what we love doing, and it's just that's the biggest part. I tell people is like we really aren't competitors. Like at the end of the day, like all the reason why we can have these conversations and feel so open about it is because the fact that we're not worried about the other person stealing their cheese. We're focused on getting better and learning.
Yeah. The market is the market is so. I mean, I hate to say it. I don't like saying this about business, but the market is so big, or the pie is so big, and you can get, there's a slice that you can take that, and you'll win because of how big it is. But it really is true in mortgage, right? I mean, we're in an enormous industry. There's a ton of players. There's a lot of people to compete with, but you can always talk about, it's funny, this just kind of dawned upon me. You can talk about, your competitors and all that sort of thing. That's where a lot of people stay. But how many allies do you have? And that's really, I think, what we've been able to forge, because the allies are going to give you ideas. Because even like the stuff that Shelby does, like, he teaches me so much about the video and how to disseminate it, and when to do it, and how, I'm all about the lead aggregation. The lines are on the radio. I wish I was like, I stayed away from the radio.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about it, but then they have 20 years experience,
and they kill it, and they crush it.
I could cut out 5 years of wasting money if I want to be able to get in there just from that relationship. So the competition, no, there's no competition at all between. So once you realize that, I mean, naturally you're going to go to that stage of like, why would I talk to them? They're in the same business. They're trying to get a loan. I'm trying to get a loan. But if you can get past that, then you can really start to
You're right, Ramon. Honestly, like, it's the abundance mindset where, like, and it takes people a while, because I feel like it's there's always been this mindset that, like, somebody's trying to recruit my LO, or somebody's trying to do this, or somebody's trying to do that. Yeah. And once you can kind of get past that stuff and just be like, all right, like, listen, I want to get better. I want to learn. And my experiences are going to limit me to knowing this. And just like you said, hey, if I want to learn about how to do radio advertising, these people are the best in the country at it. Let me go learn from them. If I want to learn how to do consumer direct marketing, I can go to Ramon. He's one of the best in the country. If I want to learn how to do realtor business development, I can go to Shelby. Like, that mindset, like, it sucks for me, because, like, I wish I was still a broker. I would be literally, like, sitting here, like,
right,
like, killing it. But it's great to be able to bring those people together. And if anything, I would say, like, the one thing that this environment has forced me to do is, like, hey, the appetite from brokers and from originators to learn is so large that, for us being forced to do video interviews, and us being forced to, bring more content forward in a different way, it's shown me that, like, okay, like, this is a new way to train and to bring, education to this audience. And that's exactly what we plan on doing.
Yeah. No.
How are you dealing with, have you had any major EPO issues?
Yeah. I always have EPOs because I'm consumer direct, right? Yep. So if I'm buying Lending Tree leads, and I close down whatever, and the rates, get better 6-8 months later, some of those JG Wentworths, Better Mortgage, Quicken, they're going to continue to call these people. So I've always sort of dealt with EPOs. I haven't seen the uptick yet because of the market changes the rates dropping, but I do anticipate maybe seeing some of them. But we're fighting, trying to get back in touch with. We're taking on a very granular level, because I have a team of LOAs, and I hired some more LOAs as well. So these are loan officer assistants that will go through my pipeline on each and every loan that I close, to reach back out to that individual to see if they're interested in, refinancing, or really to make sure that they're not. You can do nothing. It's okay to do nothing, but if you're going to do a loan, you're going to be doing it with us, sort of thing. So that's what they're doing. And then we have systems in place too, whether you're using HomeBot or this or that. But we're trying to be proactive in this environment to sort of prevent some of that stuff from happening. But yeah, EPOs are just they're part of the business.
Yeah, and like the one thing is, like, you can have HomeBot, or you can use like UWM CLM or Brand 360 or any of these systems that do the automated thing. But at the end of the day, I can tell you this: the picking up a phone and calling somebody, it works. It just simply works. So, like, the importance of having, like you said, LOAs or database managers, or just somebody that can help manage the pipeline, and it's a two-way street. It's help manage your past clients to try to field new deals, and then it's also EPO protection, because at the end of the day, like, listen, there's a lot of customers that you'll get in touch with that you can have, like, if you get in touch with them early enough, you can make sure you say, hey, listen, rates are going to keep going down. We're going to wait. We're going to wait, and like tell them why. There's an EPO, but at the same time, rates are going to be going down. I mean, at the end of the day, based upon where the 10-year Treasury is, interest rates should be about 0.5 point to 5/8 lower, and that is eventually going to catch up here in the second quarter. So a lot of people that are refinancing right now probably should hold off, and that's just the truth.
Yeah, with some people, and sometimes I look at the rates and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it. And this is hard because it's counter to how you naturally think as an originator, right? But it's almost like a part of me is just kind of waiting to see what the market sort of does. Like let it settle itself out. I don't want to go throw somebody in a 3.875 when I know in 3 months from now that's going to be a 3.125, and then it's going to be EPO for me, right? So I have that to consider as well. What we're doing with a lot of clients is like, because they are finicky, and they're seeing a lot of different, the news cycle is all over the place, and the advertisements are all over the place, so they're not ready to commit. So what we're doing is almost like just parking them. We've put another section into our pipeline called waiting on rate improvement. So we're still collecting a certain amount of information, not enough to trigger an application or have to do disclosures or whatnot, but they are in line in a sense, waiting for us to pull the trigger for them. So I tell them, I'll watch this. Like I always say part of my script is like, I'm gonna watch the market like a hawk for you. As soon as it hits our target, boom, I'm gonna hit the bullseye and I'll give you a call. Just be ready for me. Be ready with updated docs for me, right? So I'm selling in a fashion to get ready for the onslaught of loans that I think are going to come. Are positioning people to almost feel like they're taken care of. Like, okay, I'm taken care of. I'm going to get this, the best deal that Ramon can possibly get me. But I have Ramon watching it for me in a sense. So yeah, I take them down the road a little bit, and that's what you need to do. You should do that with every single client that says, oh, I'm ready for rates to, come down or whatnot. Still move them a little bit down the process of collecting some information and saying, hey, you could be part of our rate watch program. All we need is X, Y, Z, and just send me the pay stub so I can just look at your income or whatnot. So it's like, still some level of commitment,
Yep.
Yeah. So.
And I think that's a good point, is like the understanding that like what a lot of like Quickens and Loan Depot are really good at is the ability to create a relationship around like kind of, at the end of the day, kind of false marketing. And it's like, hey, I'm going to put you in my rate watch program. Like that, again, this is, that's marketing. That's, hey, I'm going to put you in this program, but I just need you to do X, Y, and Z. I need to get you a little bit closer or whatever. And I think that creative thinking is something that everybody needs to constantly be doing. Like I had people coming to me before, like earlier this year, like people would send me an advertisement. It would be like, teacher program from a retail lender, free appraisal fee. I'm like, guys, that's an advertisement. I mean, this is marketing. Like you could do the same thing, price the loan, lender credit, and you just did a free appraisal.
Right.
And that's the mindset of always being, the crafty marketer. And that is at the end of the day, that's part of the deal. As far as, you think about like being an expert, I think one of the things that I definitely, I think not enough loan originators are thinking about is really looking at, cash out refis, looking at the opportunities that are in the market right now. Like the S&P and the Dow are down huge. Yeah. And there's listen, it's probably going to keep going down for the foreseeable, for the short term, but yeah. There's going to be a wealth creation opportunity here for Americans in a big way. And unfortunately, in a lot of these markets, it's only the wealthy that are taking advantage of it. But there's really an opportunity for loan originators to, again, be the expert and be able to understand like the ability to, capitalize taking cash out of your home, being the debt advisor that's talking about consolidation when rates are at these low rates. That's just something that, if it's just, hey, here's my 30-year fixed and here's my rate, then that's a commodity. Anybody could do that. I think it's the expertise that we really need to try to spend more time focusing on.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Even what you just said, if you're pulling some money out of your home and store, maybe not putting it in the equity markets yet, but at least it's there, and it's going to grow over the long term. So we're not going to be stuck in this position. And yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, and that's my point. You know, there's so many different ways to do this. You just got to sit there, be creative, think about the future, and you know, get after it. Just don't get caught in the news cycle or whatnot. You know, a lot of people get caught up watching too much news. I turn it on for about 15 minutes, then that's it. I'm done. I'm done with it.
I don't watch any TV. I only have Netflix. I don't watch anything. So real quick, we're gonna hit you with 3 questions before we wrap up here.
Okay.
Number 1 question: what's the number 1 thing you missed since you've been locked at home?
Oh, what is it? What do I miss? Golly, I don't know, man. Maybe just going out for a nice cocktail, being around people. You know, hearing that buzz of conversation. I probably miss. That's what it is. I miss the buzz of conversation.
I do too. I do too. So it's tough. I like it. Honestly, like I'm first of all, I don't have none of my team members are in the office right now, so they're all working from home. So like I'm used to being surrounded by people, and it's tough. Like I mean, honestly, like I miss it a lot.
Yeah.
What's the what is the biggest thing that you've learned in the last 2 weeks?
I don't know. Probably. I don't know. That's a hard one. I guess I've learned how resilient we can be because everybody still has a pretty good attitude.
Yeah,
true. Even as you walk by people, you know, it's funny because you're walking by and both people kind of branch out. They kind of do this both thing. Right?
Yeah.
Let's stay away from one another. At least us in Northern California, because we've been shelter in place for a little while. But you know, people are really coming together, and I kind of like that. And when I say come together, I mean like, you know, smiling at one another, being cordial, you know, and you know, I think what's going to come out of this, and it's sort of like this after 9/11 too, is that, you know, it really tightened Americans. It really tightened Americans up, and I think we're going to see that coming out of this situation more than we ever have. So I'm looking forward to that.
I agree. I agree completely. So, Ramon, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time. Hopefully the broker community gets some value out of this, and we'll talk very soon.
All right, everybody, go win.
You're the man. Thank you, man.
Later.